Welcome to Get in the Herd After Hours. I'm your host, Alex Bond. I am a person in recovery from substance use disorder and a peer leader and recovery coach here at the McShin Foundation, as well as a house leader at Clark House. I'm here with a great couple guys, the house leaders at Scott House, the Titans of Thunder, David Butts and Jason Eaves. How are you guys doing?
Good. And yourself?
I'm great. Just going left to right. David, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey guys, my name is David and I'm in recovery. I'm from Winchester, Virginia. I first got introduced to McShin through a jail program at Rappahannock Shenandoah and Warren Regional Jail, and earned a scholarship, and I've been here at McShin for 3 weeks.
That's awesome. We're happy to have you. Jason, why don't you introduce yourself to the peeps?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Jason Eaves from Blacksburg, Virginia. I came into the McShin Foundation about about a month and a half ago. I'm happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you on. Now, what's really cool and kind of unique about you guys as well as maybe our relationship together is, being thrown into the house leadership scenario at the intensive house is a really cool opportunity. At first, it's a very interesting opportunity. And once you get your bearings, I think it's a really cool opportunity. Jason, you are the house leader over there. David is the assistant house leader. Jason, can you kind of tell the audience exactly what that entails and what that title means?
The title of house leader, it's like, so not only am I responsible for my recovery, I'm helping others be responsible for theirs. Meaning, so I get people up in the morning, we're up at the crack of dawn doing chores, getting ourselves ready to take in some great learning lessons over at the foundation. So we're out the door by 8:30. We lead each other over to the foundation, make sure everybody's aware of what's going on, and that's about it, really.
That's about it. So, David, you recently were voted in. I think, Jason, you were house leader, but then I think, if I recall correctly, the house had a vote, and y'all were voted into the leadership roles, or I guess in Jason's scenario, reasserted into that role. David, how did that experience work out? Were you expecting it? Were you prepared for it?
I wasn't expecting it. I think I was playing a little modest, and I voted for someone else in the scenario. But, at first, I only wanted it for the perks. But now the more I listen to the elders and people with more clean time than I do, I keep hearing the same thing, and that's just putting in the effort, putting in the work, and being around new people and other, people in recovery. And as long as I stay around that, that's what makes success.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very thankful to be voted into the position, because now I look at it as, well, maybe it's not the worst thing that I've ever done.
Yeah, it almost gives you this sense of having to like almost adhere to a certain standard that people have set in front of you. It's kind of, you're given this opportunity on a platter. Now I can't let these people down because they're the ones that put you in that scenario. But you also at the same time have to think, okay, maybe they're trying to think that since they voted me in, they can pull a fast one on me and I'm not going to do anything about it. Because that accountability piece is really important. I guess another lead-in question that I have on top of that was, I remember that I got a lot of flack initially because I as well became a house leader after being there for 3 weeks, and everyone's like, "What? This person should have more clean time. I don't get why someone who's got less clean time than me should be telling me what to do," because a lot of times people get a little clean time, then they'll come into the program, or they'll get clean time in jail and then come into the program. So how do you guys perceive that mentality of, having to have this leadership role when, other people below you might have more, or other participants that you're supposed to be making sure they're doing the right thing, have more clean time than you, might be older than you. How do you kind of play with those personalities a bit?
So to expound upon that first one, like David was definitely voted in, and he was the perfect guy from the job. When David came in, I was the current house leader. He exuberated leadership. Like, this is a big guy. Like, you could tell that he was about his morals. He was about his game, and he came in here with a headstrong mentality of recovery. So he was a clear choice of being assistant house leader, if not, or to move on to become house leader. Dealing with the whole peer-to-peer aspect of things. So David has more clean time than I do. And so, like, I definitely fall upon him for guidance when I need it. And when other people have problems, look how big he is. Ain't nobody gonna mess with Dave, right? But to give you an interesting story, there was a time we were at an NA meeting. We were busy with a participant, a potential participant who was coming into the foundation. And I was busy with him all day and night. And later we had an NA meeting. So during the NA meeting, I was falling asleep. I wasn't really attentive. And then after the meeting, I wanted to go get a cup of coffee and a pack of cigarettes because there was more I had to do that night. So I was talking to Dave on the side, and I was telling him, I was like, man, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get a pack of cigarettes. I'm tired. And he said, you know what? I'm going to send somebody with you. And the store is right around the corner. He wasn't afraid that, I'm going to fall asleep just driving to the store. He wanted to send somebody because he said when he was deep in his addiction, it was always, let me get one more, a little pick me up, to keep myself awake. And the funny thing about that night, like at that meeting, I did have that thought. A lesser me would have picked up and got a little pick me up. And it was just that, I am my brother's keeper, about David that touched me, man. Like, you could tell this guy is the man. And we need people like that around us. And in this foundation, there are people like that.
Yeah, I think that foresight and being able to, that's not to, belittle you or anything like that, to say, I want to send someone out with you. That's just saying, I see you in me, or I see myself in you a little bit, and being able to read a room type of scenario. When I was over there leading the house, I had an assistant house leader that was very different than me. He was kind of a bit more of the bad cop. I was a bit more of a good cop. And then we'd flip-flop every now and then. I know that is hard to believe because nowadays I'm more of the bad cop. But back then I was just like, all right, just tell me what happened. I just want to know the truth. And then they tell me and I'd be like, all right, appreciate it. It's okay. And then the other guy would be like, I don't believe a word that you're saying. Like, he would just make sure that he was getting the exact truth because he was serious about his recovery. He was serious about helping these other people get serious in their recovery. And I learned a lot from him at the same time because he had more clean time than me. kind of a similar scenario in that aspect. David, I know that both of you actually were in that recovery coach training that McShin puts on. What are some of the tools that you learned in that class that you might be able to utilize in this position?
You know, I learned about the recovery capital, and you know,
what is that?
Recovery capital. There's three different types of capital. It's social. Help me out. Social, economic. What else? What's the third one?
You put me on the spot.
I didn't mean to put you guys on the spot. You didn't have to go that deep.
It's a fresh reminder, but what it is it's about resources in the community. So, through taking that classes, I realized, that I have to search, and find different resources around the community to be able to, to help the newcomer that comes in. In my current situation, I had to go out and look for some food banks to come up because I'm getting ready to come out of the intensive and I'm going to be stepping up into a sober living environment. And I'm not going to have that initial help that I've gotten through doing the intensive. And so, through that, I was like, oh, wow, this is what it's about. This is the recovery capital. So, for me, I just have to realize where I'm at, look up the resources, and connect and ask. Because one of the biggest things with the recovery community is someone's willing to help you as long as you're doing right. And even if you're not, they're still here, they're willing to help you, And that's my biggest thing. And I haven't been turned away on anything that I really needed at all. So, that's my blessings, that I'm looking into, so I can be familiar in case someone else comes up to me and asks.
Exactly, because one of the first things I learned when I came in was, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. Literally in this scenario, because I came in, had a Kroger card, but I didn't want to be the guy who's like, can you feed me? I'm hungry. I need things. I need things. And because it just feels weird. Us, addicts in recovery are so used to being resourceful and manipulative and getting what we want very efficiently and being self-sufficient that asking someone for something is so friggin' uncomfortable. But in this scenario, a closed mouth literally does not get fed. So learning how to ask for things is really important. Jason, did you kind of have that similar struggle? Because you're pretty, militaristic, well put together, self-sufficient dude. Did you have to have that same experience, or was yours a little different?
So I didn't have that same experience. I mean, I'm fortunate to have a family, loving family that loves and cares for me. So they would give me anything I needed coming in the foundation or even if I was out. But from that training, the biggest thing I took away from the training was how to conduct myself or speak with other members of society who aren't in recovery. Because, being an addict is stigmatized in so many different ways. One, we did abuse drugs, but, I'm somebody who's in long-term recovery from substance use disorder. It's not an abuse disorder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that nomenclature is really important. That our trainer, the ever lovely Jesse Wysocki, really helped pin into us was that, other people don't see us the way that we see us. The way that I talk with you guys is going to be very different than how I talk with someone who just doesn't understand what we go through on an emotional level. So I think that was a really key component of that. So what are kind of some of the things that you look forward to in your day? Again, I remember it being a very draining job. It's practically 24/7. Jason, you touched on having to deal with the new intake that was pretty erratic, and there are plenty of situations that come up like that. So what are kind of those things that you do to cool off when you have that free time or whatever?
So I'm about 3.5 weeks in, maybe, at this position. And again, you touched on it, man. It's fairly stressful. I've been thankful for having been thrown in this kind of situation before, where my military experience kicks in. However, this in the realm of recovery, it is completely different. So yes, it's 24/7, but to cool off, like I go see my mom or my dad and my grandmother, my aunt, because they're in the area, and I need to kind of get away for a little bit. But even then, when I do get away, the phone's ringing because my man here, you got me.
Yeah, David, you have a really serene and stoic quality to you, and one of the first things that I remember having a great conversation with you, but I remember the first time I ever specifically asked you to do something for me, you were like, done. You like dropped exactly what you were doing and were like, yes, I'd love to help you out. And that's one of the key differences. Is it's one thing if someone's like, yeah, I got you. But you almost had this like spark in your eyes that you're excited to help me out. And I hadn't seen that in a lot of people. Um, you came out of the jail program. So you kind of had that recovery instilled in you a bit before you got to come in here. Does that give you maybe a bit of a leg up in how to approach certain people, especially those with some incarceration time?
Absolutely. The biggest thing I struggled with in the beginning was self-forgiveness. I was so mad at myself for, doing the same thing again, and, in my addiction, I was telling myself I was doing it differently, but I wasn't, and so I really struggled with self-forgiveness in the beginning. I finally got an opportunity to really take the time on myself. And I started flipping through a NA workbook, and I was answering questions and going over them with another inmate. And to have that opportunity has opened up my entire life because I could focus on myself. I was incarcerated. I was maybe slept 10 hours a day while I'm in jail.
Right.
So for the other 14, I'm working on something. I'm working on myself, and to have someone else I was fortunate enough to have someone else I was willing to confide in, and really get down to see why I was using the way I've used, and why I was using over feelings and stuff like that. And it was the greatest experience I've had in recovery thus far. And that was from sitting in a jail cell. And I was genuine happy, working on myself and becoming a better individual, because the guy that left RSW was not the same man that got to RSW. And that was the biggest blessing that I've had thus far.
No, that's well said, man. That's beautiful stuff. What are now that we're in the real world, it's stressful. I'm impatient. I have to control everything, especially the most uncontrollable thing possible, which is other people and their decisions and their actions. What are some of the what's the hardest part of the job, Jason? Short question.
Man, this job, it's almost like herding cats, man. So trying to get everybody to the group on a so they're not late is, probably the hardest thing ever, because you got people who wake up late, you got people who want to continue to smoke cigarettes out of the smoke shack, you got people who just don't want to participate. So it's trying to herd everybody to get that recovery, I think that's the only hard part about it.
What about you, David?
I have to say, I have trouble with telling someone else what to do, when it's group time, like he was saying. I find myself just trying to wander my way back without saying nothing, and hoping that they're going to follow me. That doesn't always work.
Sometimes.
But I have to say, the hardest thing is just putting my ego in a box and allowing myself to help, everyone, not select who I want to pick and choose, who I'm going to help. It's not really working. And that's my biggest struggle. I know that this is a process, and I'm just beginning. So, I'm not hard on myself on that, but I do acknowledge it, so it gives me something to always work toward.
Yeah, that I hated confrontation. I'm not gonna lie to you. I walk around, you'd think that I like it, but I never enjoyed confrontation, man. Like, I'm serious. I avoided it at all costs. If I was behind on my rent, I avoided my roommate for weeks. Like, because I was on the other end of it, of course. But even if someone had hurt my feelings or say something at work happened and I had to talk to my boss, I would just avoid them almost at all costs. So learning how to deal with that and grow up and face problems head on is a really important thing that I've learned while I was there. David, do you happen to remember when McShin filmed Hope Dealers at RSW? Because McShin does.
Yeah, I remember. I do.
What was that experience like? Is it as awkward as this one?
I was excited for it, I thought I have a little more camera time than what I got. But the camera time I did get, I was just laughing at John Shinholtz's joke, But hey, at least I got that,
It was probably the Pussy Willow joke.
No, it was a boy like just turned 18. He was in there, and John Shinholtz told me, "You ain't in juvie no more, boy."
Yeah, that's pretty valid, John stuff.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you've learned from other leadership here at the foundation? So, maybe from other people that you've been able to apply, whether it's, doesn't have to be in that recovery coach class. It's just something that, something someone said or did to you that really has made an impact on you thus far. Jason.
Oh, man. Well, my predecessor, Jeff, taught me how to actually listen, like practice active listening. And it was actually reiterated in the recovery coach training, just how to sit there and listen and take in everything a person is saying to you, because, they're what they're saying is some real shit, So it's incumbent upon me to actually listen and take it all in, and maybe not always give advice, but just listen. So that's one of my biggest takeaways from the leadership around here.
David, what about you, buddy?
It's about the connection. I got to witness something today, and I'm forever grateful to be able to see it. And I'm getting, when someone's struggling, and I sat there and watched someone in the program, reach out to someone that was trying to leave, and he connected with him right away. He said, you and I our addictions are just alike. He said, and I'm like, I could see it, and when I seen them two make the connection, and then next thing you know, we're going to get something to eat, and then before you know it, we're back where we're all supposed to be, and that's together at the program, there's definitely trying moments that, for me, when I react, it's not always my first reaction is not always right. My first 5 thoughts are wrong, and sometimes I react on those first 5. And when I do, and I can catch myself doing it, that allows me the opportunity to change, allows me to hold on, slow down. Let's get focused. Where am I supposed to be? Where am I at? What am I doing? Let's get with somebody who knows where I'm supposed to be, because I'm not always my best judge,
Yeah, because I have a bad habit of flying off the handle every now and then, and that's usually like a personal thing that I exert on other people, because I end up here on the totem pole. So then I know that if I'm going to get shit on, then I have to like make sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to, and I deal with me being hungry by yelling at people or something like that. I'll own that, and it's a bad trait to have, but just as Jason was saying, the best thing that I could do sometimes is be like, okay, well, why did you do this? and then sit there in silence and listen, and then come at them with, all right, well, I don't believe any of that, or whatever. But at least show that you care about this person, because just flashing tongue at someone isn't going to get the job done 90% of the time. Um, you know, it's kind of like a running joke around here that they do what they're supposed to just to avoid getting yelled at, not because it's the right thing to do. And that is not an efficient, way to act in the real world. We should do things because we're looking forward to the reward than we are for the punishment if we don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So I guess one of the other things that I was wondering, oh my God, I had this great question. How do you empower some of the participants that are getting up late or not doing their chores as much? How have you found to be the best motivating, factor or tone or what have you? Because as David was kind of saying, it is a bit of a case by case basis.
Yeah, definitely case by case. Repetition, I think, is the best motivator. Like in the mornings, I'm up yelling, "Get up!" and I'm trying to get everybody up at the right time or early enough so they can get to where they need to be, on time. So when I do that constantly, every day, day in, day out, it works. Maybe they don't like it, off the bat, but they get used to it and they retain that. And then when it comes to approaching somebody, I don't know. I'm not the bad cop per se. I can be, but I try to come out with kid gloves because this is an emotions disease, and we're a bunch of emotional men running around this house. So it is case by case, and try to approach every conversation or every situation with respect.
Mm-hmm. David, what's kind of your approach, buddy?
The number one thing I've learned from my house leader is, in this aspect of, we're out the door at 8:15. So if we're 5 minutes late, I don't have to fly off the handle and really, come down on anyone, because we're still going to get there on time, because we're right beside the place. So that's good. But, as of that, I like to be out the door at 8:15, not 8:20. So I've gone through that, and I just try to talk to them, like, what can we do to be better, so you can wake up sooner? Is there's something I can do differently, make breakfast, something small like that, and some of them be like, yeah, let's wake up and have breakfast in the morning, so I'll throw on something easy, that way I ain't got to do much cooking. But
No, that Pavlovian satisfaction effect of, like, I'll do nice things if you do what you're supposed to is a great approach. I'm not gonna lie, and it's not an easy job. It's stressful, and so I'm really impressed by how smooth and put together and articulate you guys are. Because at this point, I was like, I'm going to bed. I'm not doing a podcast. I'm not dealing with any of this stuff. Like, I'm exhausted. But the fact that I asked you guys just means that you are so, involved in this recovery stuff. It's not for show. It is walking that walk and being that role model that these people need to look up to. So what's kind of like your game plan? Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say like exit plan, but what are some of the goals that you guys have in your life and general, honestly,
Well,
on a personal level?
Well, so obviously I don't expect to be doing this for the rest of my life. So some of my future goals involve contracting work overseas once again. Once I can prove to myself that I'm ready and able to tackle on the outside world and have the tools in place, in case I do stumble and falter, I'll move towards that direction.
David, what about you, buddy?
I've thought about this a lot over the last 19 months, since last 20 months now. You know, I really want to teach, you know, stay in recovery field and just share my experiences and just hoping I can change somebody's life. And I want to coach, you know, I want to coach little league football. You know, that's something you know, growing up, I always wanted to do is, you know, be a pro player, coach professional, be an announcer for a little while, you know. But like, I just want to keep it simple and coach little league football, man. That's really my goal.
No, and that's a hell of a way to get back to the community. It's that selflessness. That's one of the like only parts of my life where I actually felt like I learned something good was when I was playing sports. A lot of times, I, was am grateful enough to be able to just breeze through stuff I learned in class, and everything outside of class usually involved me being a degenerate to some sort of effect. Except when I was doing something productive like playing sports, or working, because those are the opportunities where we learn to come together, be selfless, pass the ball, show up on time. I was a part of soccer teams where if one of us showed up late, that person stood in the middle and everyone else ran sprints. I don't know if you guys have ever been involved in that, but that's because it's like we're a team. If one person messes up, then everyone pays the price. And I do that with certain groups every now and then. I'll say, if one of y'all is late to 10 step or one of y'all isn't doing your chores, then everyone gets an early curfew. It doesn't bother me because I'm not going to give myself an early curfew. I'll be honest, but these are things that were instilled in me and they worked. So I pay it forward. Again, I might be a little more tough love than you guys, but I was definitely softer when I was around your time, and then I saw better results by being a hard ass.
So for me, the cornerstone of my recovery, one cornerstone would be my family. Now, the other cornerstone of that foundation is service work or helping out, my fellow addicts or my peers, to be honest. It gives me a deep, warm feeling in my soul, to be honest, to give back. And I'm telling you, no person gives back more than this guy. So I've seen, and I mean, to continue to do that is just to be beyond this world. I hope you get to do it.
Yeah, I think you'd be a great little league coach.
Yeah.
I can see it now. Again, you just need to get a little more confrontational. You got to instill it into these 10-year-olds that they can't be having fun on that football field. They're supposed to rip kids' heads off. Come on. Well, that also, because I think Vince Lombardi was great. I love Vince Lombardi and a lot of his axioms and stuff like that. And he said, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late.
Right.
So that kind of circles back to that whole punctuality thing that we were just talking about. Punctuality, in my opinion, is a quick and easy way of saying I'm trustworthy. If I can show up on time to something, that means you can trust me to whatever commitments that I hold. I say what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it, and I'll be there on time, because this can be a very fast-paced community a lot of times, because we're impatient people with a very impatient disease. Have you guys found any sort of tactics in how to slow down for yourselves as well as maybe other people? Because I've dealt with a lot of people who are they might get 3 weeks clean and they're like, all right, I need to work, I need a girlfriend, I need a dog, I need my laptop, my apartment, I need all this stuff, and I deserve it because I've tried getting clean. And that was the same for me myself. So how have you guys kind of been able to deal with that situation? David, you can go first.
I definitely want things when I want it, and I want them when I say I want it, but that has failed me in the past. So I try to catch myself while I'm doing it, but at the same time, it doesn't always work like that.
Nope.
Most times I'm already halfway there. I done sent the message or I done asked for it on the phone, whatever my means of trying to get it. Most times I'm already out there, but then I'm like, all right, hold on. do I really need this? Or my favorite, or should I say my least favorite, is when my sponsor or my mom will call me on my bullshit, you know? And I don't like that at all. Yeah, I don't like that at all. And, you know, so, you know, I remember the night when I realized that happened. You know, I was in furious. I was up to like 2 o'clock in the morning in my head, you know? And the next morning, you know, woke up 7 o'clock and I'm like, dang, I got 2 people that really love me, you know? And I was like, my day was great, you know? So even when, you know, I struggle with things that I'm not going to be perfect, that's for sure. But even when I struggle, you know, I have the foundation and a community of peers, you know, with me. And all I got to do is be like, man, help me get out of my own way, you know? And I find that here, everywhere I look.
Jason, how do you deal with that impulsiveness or impatience?
I don't. I mean, I tried to mitigate it, but actually, you know, talking with my peers and being in the house leader position, you get guys who want to do this, they want to do that, and they want to do it now, and they don't want to wait. So by talking to them and telling you know, showing them, you know, let's work on the small victories. You know, let's concentrate on this first. Then that helps me put my own shit into perspective. So, but just like David says, I catch myself like all the time. I was just riding with my dad the other day. And I was talking about how I want to do this. I need to get overseas. I need to get an apartment after I leave McShin. I need to do this. And my dad was like, whoa, buddy, you put like 3 carts before that horse, man. You better slow down. And I'm like, you know what? You are right. So, I mean, I don't necessarily deal with it, but helping other guys deal with theirs, it helps me put it into perspective.
Yeah, and what's wild with that is I hear David talking about his mom. I hear Jason, you talking about your dad. And I'll tell you what, I didn't listen to my parents when I was using, but now I listen to them all the time. Like it's actually like, wow, I think these people might know what they're talking about every now and then. And that's kind of this one of these other gifts of recovery is being able to not only listen to advice but apply it at the same time. It's one thing for me to say, okay, I hear you, or for me to be self-aware of a character defect. It's another thing to try to solve the problem instead of just be aware of it. Right. Are there any, like, what's an example of that you can think of, David, that you might be aware of that could be, you know, done better, but are actually kind of working toward? That's a lofty question. And it doesn't have to be for you personally. It can just be, you know, maybe something that you're dealing with right now or something someone else is dealing with. I just know that, like, I will give you an example. I don't want to go to jail on Thursday. That terrifies me. Everyone's like, you can do it for 10 days. You can do it standing on your head. I'm like, oh, I can do it standing on my head. Can I? Well, then why don't you go for me? Because I don't want to go. My palms are sweaty for 48 hours, 36 hours, and it sucks. I don't like this feeling. I'm not an anxious person. It sucks. But dealing with it and getting over that hump, I'm just looking forward to the 26th when I get out and then having this ankle bracelet off and looking forward. Is there something else like that can, you know, you might be dealing with?
With a court date coming up in September. It's for a violation from 2018. And, you know, but I really consciously focus on, you know, doing what I'm supposed to, following the rules in this program, because I know that as long as I follow these rules and I go to court successfully without using until then, I'm going to be looking the best possible way that I can look. Mm-hmm. And I'm just, and like I said, I've been through this process before. You know, I chased recovery very briefly in 2018, but like I learned from those experiences. And, you know, and I keep going back to that time because I made so many mistakes that when I look back, I'm like, okay, I can't do it that way, can't do it that way, can't do it that. Follow the damn rules. So it's like, that's been my biggest thing for me. So like for me to come into this program and not get a cell phone, you know, within my first month, was difficult. You know, I finally got permission to get the cell phone. Things came out for me, and I ended up getting one early. You know, so like I'm just patient. I'm a little more patient than I was then, and I listen to people around me because they know what's best for me, and nobody wants to hurt me, and nobody wants to see me destroy myself the way I came into jail in 2018.
No, and you set yourself up for success and getting what you want when you continue to do the right thing. It's so trivial and it's such a cliche, but that has been, you know, the effect for me thus far. I'm looking at it literally as minimal jail time as possible because the laws are written that way. I can't change how the laws are written. That's fine. But I do know that I've now set myself up to a job that I enjoy, a roof above my head, a stomach full of food, some like, you know, people, friends and family that support and love me. And, you know, I gotta say I'm probably happiest I've ever been, aside from the stomach aches and the dread of having to go to jail. Take that out of the equation and I'm as happy as a clam. Jason, what about you, buddy? You dealing with anything that's been maybe on your mind or eating you up?
To be honest, man, I think the transition into normalcy, or my life outside of McShin is kind of what I'm dealing with. However, I mean, the road to recovery is super long road, and I feel that I do have tools and techniques in place to mitigate, you know, my addiction. But I mean, just the transition back to becoming a productive member of society, you know, having a family, getting a place, picket fence, that whole 9 yards, all that. I think that's what I'm dealing with, the American dream, you know, going back out and being a productive member. It's pretty much it, man.
Yeah, I had a hard time dealing with the bubble. That's what I call, you know, the trifecta of you guys here and the church. It's like this Bermuda Triangle that we kind of just bounce around in and can kind of get sucked in if we don't actively seek outside meetings, outside things to do, a network with more clean time than us to try to give us a little more push into society to utilize our tools and grow our wings. Because, you know, I got my cell phone and I got a laptop. I'm comfortable right here. I can connect to the real world if I want to, until I'm like looking at the walls and they look padded. You know what I'm saying? Like it can be very scary, but that's when I start scrolling through my phone and I'm like, all right, I can hit Chip up. Oh, that's awesome. Like he's alumni or Andrew, Pat, or all these people who have come through, and I know what whatever they're doing isn't suspect. I don't have to worry about calling them because they're going to be they're going to be doing something cool or something productive. It's not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'll talk to you later. Like, I just avoid all of those people and conversations. I couldn't tell you the last time I've had that sort of conversation when I've reached out to someone to just say, what's up? Have you guys been able to build and utilize that network in a certain way, or is that still something that's coming over time?
For me, you know, I'm just getting now. Granted, I had a house phone since I've been here, so this is my excuse. You know, I don't reach out to so many people because, you know, there's only one house phone for 11 guys. You know, so, you know,
you got a cell phone.
Yeah, I got one now. I'm good now. You know, but still, you know, am I staying behind and getting as many numbers as I can after the meetings? No. I did get one tonight. You know, I had my home group meeting tonight, and you know, so you know, I went up to the guy that seemed like he was the one that was running it, and I got his number, and I'm like, have I called him? No. You know, I've probably gotten 3 or 4 numbers since I've been here. Have I called any of them? No. You know, I have trouble with commitment. You know, so. You know, to be able to commit and be like, hey, man, how you doing? Just to have a genuine conversation, I struggle with, man. And, you know, and that's why I know I'm where I'm supposed to be at this program, because, you know, if I wasn't where I'm at today here, you know, I don't know where I'd be. You know, I'd be home, and Lord knows what I'd be doing at home. you know. And so, like, I know that, you know, being here is as beneficial to me every morning because I'm in a safe environment. And if I need anything, all I got to do is ask. And I just have to start putting in that work to continue to stay where I'm at today.
What about you, Jason? That was a very honest answer, David. I appreciate it, by the way.
Man, am I back at networking like I should? No. And when I do get numbers, it's mostly women and not dudes. And it's for the wrong reasons. However, I have done crucial networking inside the foundation when it comes to finding a sponsor and whatnot. And then my network, this bubble has been my network because, I mean, as a man, it's kind of hard being emotional with other men, or when I was outside the foundation, it was hard to be emotional with another man and share feelings and things like that. But now that being in the foundation and here in this recovery house, you know, as a house leader, we're brutally honest with each other, and we let out a lot of emotion. We confide in each other. So, like, this friendship right here is something I want to carry for the rest of my life. So, I mean, as far as networking on the outside, not so much, but I'm trying to concentrate what's on the inside right here.
Yeah. So follow-up question. When you said y'all's relationship, it made me think, like, you know, being vulnerable around other men isn't easy, and it makes me think, like, I went back home for a week. I hung out with a couple buddies, and, you know, every time I talked to them, like, after we left, I'd be like, "I love you, man," and at first they'd be like, just like a. But then they started saying it back after like a day or two. Honestly, I'd be like, "All right, bro, I love you, dude," and then they'd be like, "I love you too, man." Like, and something as simple like that makes me think this person that, you know, I've known since 4th and 5th grade is one of my allies, even though they're not in recovery. They're these people. You know, it's same with other people, buddies that live blocks away from me that aren't in recovery, and, you know, don't have a substance use problem, but do drink every now and then. And they're the same people who, when I walk into a house, she's like, "Hey, you want to try this pink lemonade I just made?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds awesome. Thank you for being so considerate. I love you." Like, and have you been able to kind of like deal with, you know, other friends and maybe like past friends and had to draw the line in the sand with certain people, David, or are we still, you know, cross that bridge when we come to it?
Yeah, you know, a part of my struggles is, you know, the old acquaintances, you know, and old friends, and you know, I found myself with the new phone. You know, I've had a phone for 2 days, so it's like, you know, I'm reaching out to people, and I know that there's people that aren't, you know, good for me in my recovery, you know, and I just, you know, they're old friends, man, and I really struggle with it. And, you know, my sponsor said, you know, you got to delete the number. And do I do it? No. You know, it's still there, you know, and it's like, I know that, you know, I can't go over to his house, you know, but in the back of my mind, maybe he can come see me and see how I'm doing. And maybe it's something he want to, you know, he see attractive and want to do it, you know, but, you know, my main thing is, you know, I'm taking it slowly, you know, so it's a day at a time. I know that's cliche, but I mean, that's just where I'm at. You know, I get to thinking about, you know, going home and going to see people and this and that. And I've realized that, man, can I really handle this? So, you know, it's just, and that's just where I'm at, you know, and I have a good foundation that I'm building, you know, around me to where, you know, when I do get in trouble, all I got to do is reach out, you know.
Phone, baby.
Mm-hmm. Jason, do you kind of feel the same way? Because again, I feel comfortable around it without getting antsy or anything like that because I trust the people. But that came with a lot of time and a lot of like practice. Like, I didn't do anything aside from with recovery people until September, October, November, maybe like 3 months of clean time or something like that. But that's also because I'd kind of done it before when I, you know, stopped drinking in college for stints at a time. I would just you know,
So
do it.
it's
So
good. It's a good question because I mean I've just started to transition into sober living. So like I get to go out and see friends and family and whatnot. And I had over July 4th, I had a friend come down from DC. She was an old Army buddy of mine. And we hung out and we went out to dinner. And she's a drinker because that's what we do in the Army. We drink, you know.
Mhm.
She ordered some beers and she was had enough respect to ask me if she minded me drinking, and I said no, I didn't mind. Was the desire or the urge there? Yes, it was. But like one thing I struggle with, or is it a daily thought of mine, is that I mean I'm here for a different addiction. Like alcohol was never. I thought alcohol was never my problem.
Mhm.
So like I don't have I've gone like deployments without drinking. So for a long period of time without drinking. So I don't have a problem you know, avoiding alcohol, or if someone has a beer in front of me, it's definitely not a problem. But I mean, yeah, for the most part, I don't struggle with, drinking. But if somebody were out there doing drugs or something, possibly. But I try to avoid those people at all costs.
No, that's good stuff. And one other thing that I've mentioned is or that I've thought of is at the same time, not only the people that I've conscientiously been like, all right, you'll keep me safe, right? And I'll be like, yeah, but even I keep myself safe. Let me backtrack there. I make sure that I only surround myself with certain people and they respect my boundaries as much as I respect theirs or whatever. I am not going to go up to my buddies who are not people in recovery and say you need to be in recovery. That's super messed up. That that is a line that is not okay, especially if it's someone who doesn't deal with that sort of stuff. They're more than comfortable when I'm like talking about what I'm doing and stuff like that, because that's what good friends do. They listen to you and are passionate about the things that you're passionate about, or they're happy when they see you passionate. The greatest friends I've ever had in my entire life are people who like to see me succeed. That's as simple as it is. And so one of the things that has followed that is getting random phone calls from different people, or even when I see someone that I haven't seen in a long time who's like, "Oh, I heard you're clean, dude. That's awesome." And then I talked to them for a long time and learned that maybe they kicked an opiate habit when they were younger or something like that that I had no idea about, or someone whose family dealt with it and I'm learning about that now, or I completely forgot about it. It's just people who understand on such a deeper level than even just very supportive friends have. Has anyone maybe reached out to you guys, surprised you with maybe how much that they support you and maybe what you're doing resonates and affects them?
Not so much as reaching out to me, but like, so my thing since coming into recovery is being disgustingly honest about my addiction with the family and friends, people that I love. So like if they ask me, I'm not going to hold anything back. But in that conversation, I have found out that other friends and family members have had either themselves or loved ones go through what I'm going through, and have told me, hey man, like they commend me on actually doing this because this is extremely hard. But as someone reaching out, no, but in conversation, yes.
No, yeah, that's great. I love hearing that stuff. David, what about you, buddy? Yeah, I've seen your mama, and it looks like some family all over the comments. So it seems like they're very supportive. And Jason, I know your family's supportive as well.
Yeah, I have a great family. Like my mom really she was there for me through my entire incarceration, and she was able to reach out to people in the program to make sure that I was going to be able to come here when I left. Because I had a detainer in Virginia. It wasn't a guarantee that I would be able to go home and then come straight here. Because I had to go finish up some stuff in Maryland. So, through that, I seen and I remember asking her how, watching her, the work she put in to make sure that I was taken care of, was an absolute blessing. and then to have the program give me the $9,800 scholarship, to help me out my 3 months transition of coming home was just that greatest blessing I could get. So all that work I did in that jail wasn't for nothing. I worked on myself, and I got to take that stuff home. And then here I got a program that actually cares about me and wants me to succeed. Say, come here, let us take care of you. And I just listen, man. I listen today. And that's the biggest difference in my life, that, I take good orderly direction. I remember when Cricket came into the jail and he said, if you want to change your life, come to this program. And I was listening to him from then on, because I wanted to change my life, and I don't know how to do it. I've done things my way for a long time, and it's gotten me the same place, and that's incarceration.
Well, I gotta say, for two dudes good at listening, you're pretty good at talking. Any final words of wisdom, illustrious illuminations, or final thoughts you can give to the crowd, guys?
What you got? You wanna go?
Yeah, man. It works if you work it, as they say in these meetings. That's all I got. Peace and chicken grease.
For me, I recognize the daily blessings I have in my life, and it's really about working towards something different. And I know where I've been, and I will not make the same mistakes I made before. So I take my time, and I'm gonna stick around for a while and see what happens.
Yeah, you will, boys. I love the camaraderie amongst you two. It's really a sight to behold. Seriously, it's beautiful to see. It's been a delight to have you on. Big shout out to our producer Todd, Jason Eaves, David Butts. I will see you guys tomorrow. I can't thank you enough for being on. Everyone seems to be so proud of you. I'm proud of you, and I'm very happy to call you friends and brothers in recovery. And I love you guys very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Hey guys, this is Todd. I'm the producer of the Get in the Herd podcast series. And I just wanted to take a minute to thank everybody for their votes, and just to remind everybody that you can continue to keep voting daily until July 19th. We're actually really excited about the opportunity to be in the running for, best local podcast in Richmond. So this podcast has been instrumental in helping so many people's lives, myself included. There's a lot of work that goes into these podcasts, and, anybody that's in recovery, they need something good and positive to listen to, and not just for them, but for their family members. And just remind people that you can vote daily until the 19th for the Richmond Times-Dispatch Best of 2020 local podcast. And we're really excited about the opportunity to help further the message of recovery for those that may not even know about it, or those that are still sick and suffering. So thank you again, and we look forward to bringing you more podcasts daily as we can.
Can you take me home? Is this the fastest way? The only way you know. Gotta get there faster. Is there a better way? I got something that just get It's the fastest way. The only way you know.